We're all muted. It didn't automatically unmute us.
Word. Okay. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another all new X's for Show, your premier live show for media responses, reactions to whatever big things happened that week, and more. I'm Nico, and you can check me out at Nico Action. That's NicoAction.
And I'm TK. You can find me at XNateXGrayX.
And that makes me Kevo, and you can find me at Kevo Really. That's KevoReally. And boy, do we have a very queer and very entertaining show for you tonight.
Yeah, it's sort of it's a very tits out kind of night. You know what I mean? Whether we're talking the amazing that is Eurovision, which this was mine and Kevo's first Eurovision, but of course it was TK's millionth Eurovision because there have been a million. We are talking 1 whole million. We're going to be talking about the first 2 episodes of Drag Race All Stars Season 8. Very excited on Paramount Plus. And then we're going to be talking Project Runway All Stars preview, little drop ski that we got. Pretty exciting. So I know, Kevo, you're in my first Eurovision. Kevo, you're in my first All Stars for RuPaul's Drag Race. How are you feeling, Kevo?
This is our first live All Stars together for Project Runway as well, isn't it? So
absolutely.
Yeah, a lot of exciting firsts in live entertainment for us this summer television season, and it's exciting. I'm really enjoying it so far.
Now, TK, this is you've indoctrinated us into the world of Eurovision, and you are one of those dirty gay agendists and forced us into drag, made us all transition, and it's everything the liberal Democrats want. So now we watch a ton of Drag Race, and we love it so much. How are you feeling about this year of firsts for you as well?
Well, it's funny because I was like you guys once. And I feel like that's the way it goes a lot of the time. And I had some very cool friends that introduced me to Eurovision, and some very close friends that I love very, very much who introduced me to Drag Race. They were my best friends for many years. They're still some of my favorite people in the world. They just don't live near me anymore. But it's that thing where like they gave this to me because we were of a like mind, and although it was something that I was completely aware of, I said like, yeah, I just don't think it's for me. And I had reasons for that. And, having seen some of the older seasons, my reasons were not incorrect, but later seasons happened and things changed.
Exactly.
And so,
yeah, the minute I saw Alaska, I was done. They started me on season 5. And, Roxy was too hot to begin with. Thick Latin boys are too beautiful. But then, Alaska, and I was done.
Dragvolution.
So, I'd had that experience, and I felt it was important to kind of pay it forward. And in that same tradition, Project Runway is not something that I have ever had a ton of interest in, but because people that I love very much are, one, being very receptive to my thing. It would be extremely stupid to be like, okay, but like, I know my thing is good. I think your thing might suck. So I'm not going to watch that. So, part of it is just that equal exchange of ideas between friends. And, part of it is, sometimes you just need a comfort TV show to have on in the background. And when somebody you love tells you theirs, you give it a try.
So I want to start with something that was not comforting at all. Eurovision is not comforting. Eurovision is as many people screaming while Johnny Weir basically just flounces around and is just like, I'm sort of femme. I don't like metal.
I don't know what's
like
going
metal. Ah, this country, I'm going to say its name like its name is in its country. Germany. Like, it was hours of that. But if you got past what the Americans did to it,
I was going to say, it's such a bummer.
Itself,
we could only watch it on Peacock, and that's how Peacock decided to do it. And, you know, on the one hand, I sort of appreciate that somebody was like, the only people that are going to be watching this are gays. On the other hand, I think Johnny Weir is maybe a little bit more for the straight white women at home who are lovely allies, but maybe not that much fun. I feel like gays have a hot that was the look.
She's for the haggery. Absolutely
fascinating. I at first thought this was a floral crown, but then I later pointed out I think they're cloves of garlic. It felt like he was channeling to me Drew Barrymore's show. Like he was trying to be some sort of opulent white woman broadcasting from her own living room, who was just being so real and cozy and watching Eurovision with you. And it was odd. It wasn't terrible. It was strange and distracting at times, for sure.
Yeah, and you know, just like that, there are already hosts that speak English from other countries. It's just weird. Like, America is not part of the broadcasts conglomerate that makes you part of Eurovision. So whatever deal we have to show it is unique, and we're not watching it like everybody else. I really did try. Listen, straight up. Try me at The Hague for international crimes. I tried to get us on a VPN and try to get us on another country's feed because I didn't want exactly that. You know, Europe has been doing Eurovision for decades now. They have perfected how to broadcast it. I did not need some, you know, Peacock streaming acquisition content team to be like, but how are we going to do it for Americans?
Yeah.
Which is what we got. Sweet, well-intentioned. Love you, Johnny Weir. You're not for me. You're not for me watching Eurovision.
It was definitely giving Rush Hour DJ energy, talking over the songs with just random asides. And oh, by the way, this other thing about that last song. Like, we've moved on, Johnny. What are you doing?
Was a thing in
Eurovision.
There was a thing in the mid-90s that I don't think everybody here might remember, but the main theme from Jerry Maguire, Secret Garden by Bruce Springsteen, was inexplicably re-released 2 years after its initial time as a single. Only it was remixed with like lines of dialogue from the movie Jerry Maguire. So it'd be like, you know, Bruce coming in and being like, she let you in her heart. And then out of nowhere, Renee Zellweger would come in and be like,
you had me at hello.
We're getting married. And like, it was
Show me the money.
Do you know the human head weighs 8 pounds?
Jonathan Lipnicki nodding. You know,
the weirder one was the one that mixed in bits of Sling Blade, though. Just want to point that out. But this was the 90s.
So I just want to say that, like, you know, there is a long-standing tradition of hearing good songs interrupted by sort of nonsense. But, you know, if you can, like, separate out the nonsense, right? This was, for me, so in line with Drag Race in so many ways. Now, I love Drag Race, and I would love to do Drag Race, except one thing. I'm very super duper, very about like the male of me. And, you know, in some ways it's because I don't think I'd make a pretty ugly girl, right? Like the way that when you do drag, you can be like purposefully kind of ugly and it's super hot. You know what I mean? I don't think I could even pull that off.
You could be a male drag king. There are female drag queens. It's not a super...
but not here to debate it. So, but like, I really do feel like the pageantry of Eurovision is so connected to what I love about the pageantry of Drag Race. It just, in some cases, strips out the drag. So, while we're going to be talking about a large swath of stuff, the pageantry is just so stunning here.
And I might argue that Eurovision kind of asks you to dragify yourself in your country's traditions and something that can be of your country and of the vibe of your country. And it is not, creating a gendered illusion of any kind, but it is really like, are you representative of your country's zeitgeist to an extreme that you can put into an aesthetic that can be packaged along with a song that also matches your country's zeitgeist in a way that you can get them to vote for you to send you to this kind of congress or summit of musicians coming and kind of representing themselves.
This Avengers Endgame, if you will.
There you go.
See, in my head, I keep going a little bit to the Gong Show, but I mean that in a very loving way. We love.
Gong Show's incredible. I think that's a great reference.
Yeah,
Cheeky
the people who take it seriously, not the ones who are like, "This is my dog. Listen to it fart."
Right.
So, all right, let's talk just a little bit about what we're actually here to discuss, which is, like we said, Eurovision 2023. One of the things that I love so much about the nature of Eurovision is the voting system. It was so fascinating. After we saw 26 phenomenal performances, and then like a TikTok person who wasn't performing anything, counting toward anything but a lovely display of incredible performers who were differently able, doing a beautiful job. We saw 26 acts, and then you got to vote. You could vote up to 20 times per payment method, but it cost money to vote. You cannot vote for your own country. So there were a lot of stipulations here that did mean that I felt like perhaps that lowers the number of bonkers votes.
I also think it's because it is such a long-standing tradition and it is so steeped in tradition, it's just kind of, I think everybody has agreed at a certain level not to be American about it and not to obsess over a contestant and be like, I'm going to get all my friends to call in 1,000,000 times and like waste $20,000 worth of payment methods to make sure they get the votes. The system also balances out on that stuff. So nobody can do that in a way that makes it so that, even if somebody was inclined to, you're going to zero out, and they figured it out over a long enough period of time that I think people don't bother as much.
Accepted.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's good.
So I love looking at the lineup here. So many of these performers were so talented, and I can see a bunch of performers who stand out right away. One thing I do want to mention is that this year was supposed to be hosted by the Ukraine, but the nation of Ukraine is of course under siege from the Russian army and could not host appropriately. And so instead, the UK said, hey, what's what? And we Liverpool, and we'll host it with the pub and the bangers.
We've got the collie wobbles for you.
Right?
I think we could have gone through that explanation without what just happened, but okay.
I
don't think so either.
I've been outvoted. All right.
You've been outvoted, and that's why that vote did not make it to the
That's
final.
democracy.
So
that's what they're fighting for.
Yeah. So we are very grateful to the UK for going in and doing the thing, and like Angela Bassett and hosting the show. So this was our first experience. TK, what did you go into this? I kind of was like, what did you, what did you go into this
Whole
Eurovision looking forward to? I'm going to try not to. Did you look into, you were looking forward to, you were excited about, you were like, meh.
In this case, I was very much looking forward to going in blind with new friends and having a Eurovision afternoon. That is the way I saw my first live Eurovision. I had some good friends who were really into Eurovision. Like they came and stayed with us and they were like, this is, what it is. They showed us some clips of some all-time greats, back in the 80s. Celine Dion won Eurovision, and seeing that performance, some of the really campy ones, some of the just really awesome like songs that are bangers that it just kind of goes to show how isolated America is in its own way, that some of these songs that absolutely could play well here just don't get imported here for whatever reason
and are famous everywhere else in the world.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I got a little background education and then went to a Eurovision party where, I didn't really know anything about anybody who was performing. That was in 2017. I just really enjoyed it. It's just really, it from a programming perspective for the 2.5 to 3.5 hours that is the performances, it does the thing that I want, that I can't stand watching The Voice or American Idol for, which is everybody just performs back to back to back to back to back. There's a little thing in between where like Graham Norton comes out, and unfortunately Johnny Ware talks over Graham Norton for us, but like there's a little break in between where they're like, wow, can't believe how great Germany did. Next up is, but there's not like a break for Ryan Seacrest to tell us the weird story about how the girl who's about to sing was on My Strange Addiction for eating her couch cushions, but she decided to take a break from that to sing in front of Katy Perry, who's just going to belittle her. So, I just want to see people sing and do songs and do music. And with Eurovision, you just get a solid afternoon of that. And that's, with you guys for this first time, that's what I felt like doing. Some years I do watch like months in advance. I watch the, qualifiers, the country's qualifiers. I watch the semifinals the week before. But, sometimes I don't like to do that. Sometimes I want to hear the song for the first time and kind of have that first reaction as I discover like, oh, I think that's going to be a hit that wins.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of came to me with the physical catch attention. For me, it was going to be Finland. And of course, Cha-Cha-Cha. Tits out all the way. Just, oh my God.
Yeah.
Just like one of the most fun performances I've ever seen. Like I walked away singing that. I walked away singing the Cyprus song. I walked away with a bit of Sweden stuck in my head. I think it was I'm trying to like look at the list and see if I can remember who sang what. I loved Israel's song. There were just so many great numbers. Australia. Oh man, I loved Australia's number.
Australia.
That was so my style. I felt like they were using some really familiar sound fonts to maybe what you're hearing right now.
You also really love Slovenia, was the one with the kind of 70s
those guys
monkeys
were so
vibe.
Cute.
That was a really great pop song. That's a great example of a song that I'm like, there's no reason that couldn't play well in America, except like it just does not get imported here, and the powers that be do not let it become a song. And like, to go very wide with it, that's why I love things like TikTok that internationally let people share songs. There's Kadia.
I swear to God, this guy's outfit changed my life. I want to wear that every single week on air. I'm gonna just keep bouncing my pecs, just like in honor of this guy being.
And
so
just what
fucking
charisma
amazing.
And sex appeal for somebody who is like not traditionally like super sexy, but is attractive enough to make his whole vibe work really well. And there's a little bit of silliness to it. There's a little bit of goofiness in that way of just like he's completely letting go and happy with where he is.
America would paint him as a bridge troll when what he is a phenomenal performer, dynamic with charisma, with a unique look, a phenomenal sense of almost like queer whimsy, like combat against like punk theatrics. This guy had it all for me. Just 1,000%. This guy had it all for me.
But I'll say the song not one. I have now come to see that Eurovision has a much broader acceptance for different genres and types of songs. This is one that I really would not have thought would have done as well as it did. It was number 2 by like less than 60 votes, 60 points. And it was just wildly popular, but it's like a kind of dissonant rap metal song that doesn't have really any like poppy influences even. It's the kind of song that I really like, but I find like, again, I'm used to American radio where that just probably wouldn't play on anything but alternative radio, and it probably wouldn't go that far. And one of the things I love about Eurovision is getting surprised by what people go really crazy for and what gets the votes.
My Sister's Crown by Chechia. That was another one that, like, the physicality of it, the visuality of it was a lot of fun. And then I'm going to just say, like, I don't know where it all placed. I'm really excited to see some of the numbers today. But, like, I Wrote a Song was really stupid. And I thought the woman who performed it had some of the most unbelievable charm, some of the most incredible energy. She managed to do it cute but playful, and took what could have been an incredibly dumb song and made it like a theatrical performance. Like, there was no moment of this, whether it was
stuck in my head for sure.
Yeah, whether it was like a dumb pop song that was turned into a celebration of cool, or it was the unbelievable artistry of a character from Guillermo del Toro's Pan's Labyrinth escaping a panini press on the set of Dune, as gifted to us by Sweden. It was a night that I'm never going to forget, a day, I guess, I'm never going to forget, because all of the performances forced me to think about what made them different, what made them the same. I was engaged on so many levels by the honesty of the performance from Cyprus, or the sort of, I'm going to be honest, maybe I didn't get it exactly, of something like Ukraine's performance, which felt very much like a track I might have heard on MTV2 at 12:30 in the morning in 2002, maybe.
Yep.
I didn't get
date
it.
Yourself.
I'm dating the song, bruh. So no, I'm kidding too. But like, who the hell is Edgar? When you were like, this is not a joke, I was like, no, it's a joke. And then I heard it and I get it. It's not a joke. It's kind of a joke in a cool way, though. Like, I'm in on the joke with them.
It's just sort of bonkers to me that, like, this is the song that they're sending to your, like, it's not a song about like the pride of the nation or like indomitable spirit or even something universal, like, what it is to fall in love for the first time or what it is to like find hope in your friends. It's a song about Edgar Allan Poe.
And
then meanwhile, we've got Lorraine, the first woman to win 2 Eurovisions.
I will say, well, I definitely was like, you had set up that she won for Euphoria in 2012.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, I don't remember the nation she won for.
Sweden.
Sweden, thank you. And so I was very engaged for this. I'd heard the song, and that song was incredible. So I was really ready for this. And when I saw it, I don't think I cared for it so much. But there's this slide she does in every line of the chorus, this very dynamic, like, and like just being a vocalist of some talent that is not that woman's incredible talent. I know that when I go to do a slide that is, you know, very about the emotional push, to get it right every time and pitch perfect every time. There might have been one or two where the, you know, every Mimi has the out that she has trouble with on that sixth stair that night. And I feel like, you know, there might have been one or two places where the note wasn't record perfect, but like for the nailography she's doing, for the fact that she's trying not to be killed by a sandwich press the whole time.
Yeah.
And she's in a world where they trade spices like money. I think, all things said, this, you know, this performance might not have been my favorite at the time, but it's sticking with me for sure.
You know, you mentioned that you are a performer, which is and a musician, which is one of the big reasons I was like, well, you got to see Eurovision, because I think you'll appreciate it's other songwriters doing their craft, and I think you'll appreciate that. But the thing I really love about Eurovision, and why I wanted you to see it over again, like why I'm not like, hey, can we watch American Idol or can we watch The Voice, is because I feel like Eurovision really goes out of its way to be like, if you wrote a song and went through the process, you could be on this stage. These are not like, not everybody can be a Kelly Clarkson. And American Idol is like, you probably shouldn't be here, talented person, because I don't think you're the most talented. And if you aren't so talented that this British jerk won't insult you to your face and spit in your eyes, maybe you should have just stayed home, or maybe you're just here for some 15 minutes that we can use for a laugh and you can use to hopefully find another career path. You know, that doesn't really interest me. And I've never been like, Nico, I want to watch this with you because I want to know what you think about these singers. Because the fact of the matter is they are all very levels of like competitively good, but competitively safe. And that's just fine. You know, that's fine. Maybe you like one of the songs and I want to know that, but I don't want to sit there watching the show week after week. Eurovision is all people that feel like people that if you were in the room with all of them, you could all collaborate, you could talk songcraft, you could believably be their peer, and the songs that they're writing, while amazing, feel so much more human and down to earth than really, really slick productions that are meant to be billion streaming pop songs right out of the gate. And as an artist of great integrity and talent who, you know, makes music that I absolutely love, that I feel like would have a place on the Eurovision stage, that's really why I wanted you to see it, and why I'm like, you know, why I tell people, because I think we're all performers, and I think we are all in some way creatives with an interest in music, no matter what, because, you know, music is this universal language that we all have. And Eurovision, I think, really is so much more about how we all could be so much more a part of the process and caught up in the creativity and the beauty than American song contests, which really are just about like, you are either the best or you are passively consuming the best trying their best.
I completely connect with that. Now, Kevo, you know, one of the big things for me was getting to experience this with you. I love seeing how you absorb and interact with media, just because, you know, your perspective is decidedly unique to the culture that of media you were raised around. So how do you feel about Eurovision, which I feel like you would have been obsessed with as a kid if you'd had access to it?
Yeah, you know, and something that draws my attention to as well is how late in our live American Idol even began. We weren't. It was pretty late in high school for us when American Idol started, so we didn't really have anything even comparable to this. What was it? Making the Band, probably closest I could think of off the top of my head.
Pop
Star
Stars.
Search way back in the day.
Star
Yeah,
Search
I was
back
about to
in the
say,
day, yeah. But there was
94.
this huge gap
Yeah.
in our childhoods where there wasn't really a lot of this sort of competitive stuff. And I think it's really cool. And I think it's super marketable too. So like I don't know why we're not, trying to do something like that over here.
I
guess it
think
would
they
require-
absolutely have. They did
Tried,
do a
yeah.
50-state song contest, and it's just American corporatism and need for control and need to monetize and need
Yep.
for contracts that, as much as I find a lot of European TV systems silly, like that most are state run and therefore you can't make money off of them in certain ways, actually ends up being fantastic in a case like this. Kevo, the other thing I really love about the way you consume media is you are the perfect database and like analysis repository of like numbers of like data. This person left at this time, this person had this many wins, with like moments. This person who won this many times had this many wins, had this incredible moment that is really emblematic of those wins. And I sort of, there are things that I'm like, Nico, you would really love this, but we don't all need to watch it together because Kevo might not really like it. And Eurovision, in some ways, I also kind of was like, there are 5 decades worth of like numbers and accomplishments and celebrities and moments to kind of get into, and not so much like, are you going to go back and figure that all out, but more like, was that something that you were seeing here in the way that like I kind of suspected you would, that there's just like a lot to digest about the system of creativity?
Yes and no.
Yeah.
Because I think as an outsider witnessing it for the first time, it doesn't feel old.
Mm-hmm.
They don't put a ton of emphasis on a specific history or competitiveness between any specific country or any expectations. They'll bring up things, but it's all just such a good time, and everyone is just there to perform their heart out, that being aware of the history is really awesome. But I think the show that they put on for the finale is so accessible that anyone could go in and watch it. If you didn't pay attention to this year's, if you've never watched it before, I think us going in cold the way we did really was super beneficial, in that it did draw my attention to that and showed me that, like, yeah, this is something that I would recommend to anyone. Yeah, just throw it on next year. If you have, I guess, Peacock, hopefully Johnny takes a break, or maybe he'll get a really fun co-host. Who knows?
I have to say, those numbers were wildly low. I think the highest I saw was 23,000 viewers in America.
Why would you put that on the screen?
A very odd choice to put that on the screen. Yeah. And like, I don't know. I know I'm spending a lot of this time like down talking a lot of American stuff, but it just sort of bums me out.
Well, we just bastardize everything, though. It makes me. It's why I'm so glad that Doctor Who is no longer on BBC America, because they always frilled up the entire thing. They edited it weird and shoved commercials in where they didn't belong, not at the right act beats, even if they were written in. So, like, yeah, when you Americanize something like that, we do tend to mess it up. So it's not specifically Peacock ruined Eurovision for us. It's wait, let's just show the European broadcast. We don't need to tag on this Americanized stuff. It's just weird.
Yep.
Is Moldova the guy who's the third row first in line?
I don't know. Oh, this one. I think this is
yeah.
Moldova. Yeah.
Yeah. I just want to say they put on a hell of a show. It was incredibly captivating. I see. They
the wizard with the pan flute playing. Gentleman.
And the little goat
man
swept
the leg.
Yeah, I see they came in 18th. I see, Finland. So I'm going over the list of winners.
Yeah.
Sweden and Finland actually both took 17% of the vote, and it's that Finland lost total delegates. How very American politics. Israel took in third place. Now I know Netta has won previously with Toy.
Yeah, Netta won with Toy
for Israel
2019. Yes, for Israel.
So there is like a history of Israel placing really well.
Yes.
The chosen people, and they are chosen once again.
It's an odd thing.
So then, in fourth place is Italy, and I just want to say that I didn't think Italy was. I don't know. I think I'm sort of surprised they took fourth in some ways.
You're surprised they went that high?
Yeah.
I mean, so that is a really good example of I would have been too. I was surprised at the winner of the first one that I ever saw, which was Portugal, and it was a ballad by this kind of sickly looking dude. I should have prepared for this and had it all pulled out, but it was a song that I don't even think it was not even the ballad power of Beautiful by James, what's his name?
Blunt.
Thank you. It was a song that could not have even done well as a ballad in America. And it just made no sense to me. And I have not really had it explained to me, broadly, all of the various cultural components that feed into this. But it the fact that Finland did that well to me is similarly kind of perplexing, because that is not a popular music song. And, they're just cases of songs that I'm not used to millions of people hearing that and being that's the one that deserves the votes.
And I really want to echo what you're saying. If you actually go onto the official Eurovision page, there's an audience scoring component, and Italy's song has a strong 3.5 stars. But if you compare that to Norway's King Banger of Queen of Kings,
yeah.
Oh my God, that vocal performance, the strength of her, the way she hits everything, just blows it away. Really an unbelievable job by Norway. The female vocalist there just destroying it. That has 4.5 stars on the Eurovision page. So you can sort of see that, the general popular vote and the scoring maybe don't line up exactly the same way. But, I loved Sweden. I loved Finland. I loved Israel. That's 3 really cool bangers in the top 5. I think Italy and Norway were both, at least good songs. While I am a big supporter of Ukraine and the Ukrainian cause, again, I did not think the Ukraine number was the bangeriest banger.
I agree. And, I think it's okay to say that some of that might have been a sympathy vote. That's okay. It was not a bad song. It was just a little bit Tricky's brother that isn't quite as willing to go into the trip hop genre, but does have access to all the same equipment. But has equipment, much better access to AR, light show, video show. I'm going to become a cyborg on screen in real life equipment. So, big props for the visuals on that one.
I want to say that I think it's kind of totally ridiculous that United Kingdom and Germany are in 25th and 26th. Obviously, Blood and Glitter is ridiculous and silly, so 26th is fine. But I don't know that I understand why I Wrote a Song is in 25th. Is it the world's greatest song? No.
I feel like I kind of get it. I don't know. It felt very safe to me. It felt very unremarkable. So, and that's a really interesting thing. If Eurovision, I feel like you can win by being too safe, or you can lose by being too safe. It's tougher to win being too safe. You can faceplant being, too much like this might as well just be an American pop song. But you will absolutely be unsafe and take a big swing, and it's just a miss. And I think that's what Germany did. I think that was something about it, even though it was a metal song, and the number 2 song was a rap metal song as well. So like these guys both took big swings. They both went to genres that can be confrontational. They had looks that were out there in whatever way. There was a lot of like, this is not a safe, this is not like a common denominator song. And we see one where I think the song itself, the performer's charisma, everything about it just worked for the viewing audience. And with Germany, it was just a miss. They hit a foul ball.
I want to say that 2 that really shock me are Croatia and Armenia being at 13 and 14. I thought that
First
Croatia...
off, I just have to give props to Kevo for the nickname Armeniana Grande.
Oh, 1,000%. That was everything.
Because
yeah.
I thought Croatia had a... I'm so sorry. Croatia. I thought Croatia had a pretty memorable song. So them coming in at 13 feels maybe a little bit low. But I'm really shocked that Armenia came in 14. She absolutely destroyed that song. She tore it to pieces, and then the glitter right in your face. So shocked it was so low. But I also can't figure out how Moldova is so low. I can't figure out how Switzerland is so low. Because here's my thing.
Yeah.
Switzerland did not have a different enough song from, say, Cyprus, in that they both felt a little One Direction, Imagine Dragons, very boom, 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 you know what I mean? And so for me, maybe
the Cyprus guy, for one thing.
Oh, beyond inhumanly hot.
Inhumanly hot. Showed feet on screen, so he's getting the foot slut vote. I mean, just,
Good
foot
for
sluts.
you, girl.
Foot sluts, we got it here too, so give us the votes.
Put on your gi.
His vocal was better. His vocal was more powerful. We were really taken aback by it. The Switzerland, and also like the Swiss song, the vocal was definitely weaker, and the song was just a little bit I don't know if the European public felt what I said, but the Swiss boy being like, I don't want to be a soldier. Great news for you, kiddo.
Well, how did Slovenia come in at number 21? How did Slovenia come in
that one is
so
a real
low?
mystery game.
That could have been any, you love the Hives kind of band 20 years ago.
The fact of the matter is, we're going to need to, for next year, have a Eurovision experienced European person who can get to the heart and soul, because I really do feel some of this is so steeped in traditions that are like a total mystery to us, and I'm out here like I'm admitting to like my complete lack of knowledge, because this is one in which like I'm happy to say that, because I wish I didn't have this lack of knowledge, and I wish America wasn't such a pop culture factory such that like slogging through everything that we produce means that like it really takes being people like us who are like, I want not just our pop culture, but like every great, interesting thing I can get my hands on. And it took me, you know, a long time to get there. It took me, you know, growing up from a little kid to sort of start doing things like moving away from pop music into indie music. And it took me, you know, finally in my 30s, I'm like, I feel like I have cultivated a really great taste. I'm not really very up on what's going on in Europe. I kind of have given the rest of the world short shrift. And there's just so much that I know that I don't know about what goes into the songs that get chosen, and I'm fascinated to learn.
I also just want to say that I'm a numbers man.
Yeah, you are.
I'm a numbers man big time. I'm not saying, you know, value is determined quantitative or qualitatively, but rather that there is at least a value that can be derived from an understanding of median and shift. You know, places 1 and 2 are pretty close. Places 3 and 4 are pretty close. Places 5 and 6 are pretty close. And then it's everybody else in the rest of the world. And that's that. I think it's also of note that Germany only received 18 points. Now, the points are determined by nations and their votes. They give points. It's very... Whenever a European person says to me, again, I have no idea how American politics work, guys, it's the Eurovision vote. This is exactly it, right?
We're going to get you there.
Yeah. So, you know, the first thing I think is somebody had to give Germany the votes, and you can't give your own country votes. So somebody else said that was like, yeah, best. And that's the kind of thing that I do like seeing, this sort of sense of openness. I do think that a number of songs do just sort of like, you know, disappear from my brain. But the songs that really stand out are the ones that like had the killer dance break, like Israel, or used the stage in a cool way, like Armenia. I don't know why the whole world turned on Armenia here. She was System of a Diva, and I was ready for it. As TK said, the toxicity of our titties. So,
I mean, I do think that's another one where I can, one reason I can imagine or posit is like Kevo's nickname was not incorrect. It was very Ariana Grande. And I can really see people being like, okay, but I can get this elsewhere. And I think she did go in a really different direction. And kind of, it was funny. Like she was giving me what I always think I'm going to get from Ariana Grande when the music video starts. Mm-hmm. And then we get about 2 bars into it and I go, oh no, she's just doing that again. Which like, if it was making me that much money, I'd keep doing it too. But, there was a little bit of like, this feels very made for consumption. And I think maybe that just, this is a public in a contest that knows that that can't be the thing. I also really want to quickly shout out that Belgium.
Belgium 182, my favorite punk band from the 90s.
Belgium, I'm going to kill you.
Out of here.
Placed 7th for Gustav's song Because of You, which was a queer anthem. That was one that like you know, the cultural exchange felt a little bit like, for all that maybe America is missing out on something, at the very least Belgium maybe needs to cross over the pond and have some ballroom classes. But I was pretty stoked to see an openly gay contestant and a very queer themed song and performance do so well.
And it's great to see Carly Simon's hat continue to have a career.
Yeah, Big Dumb Hat's going to follow us everywhere.
You went Carly Simon, I went Lou Bega. That's fine.
Mambo number 5.
There were clouds
number 182.
in my coffee, clouds in my coffee, and...
Why are there clowns in her coffee?
Oh my god, she's drinking clowns! Anyway, Too bad you can't edit these. So I just want to say one more time, there were so many cool surprises for me as a viewer. One of the things that I'm most excited about is that the order of performance seems to have had very little effect on the order of placement.
Yeah.
It's not like Slovenia, Croatia, and United Kingdom dominate the top. In fact, toward the end performances, it only looks like Israel really did notably well, though Norway, of course, which was an early favorite, and Ukraine. I'm going to be honest. I did not only care for the Ukraine song, but I do see that there's a lot of responses on the official Eurovision page that are kind of like 2.5 stars. I think one of the things that's important to recognize is that even when a song isn't, uber bangers, you can use your vote in this to signify support of a nation, and saying, I even like your less stellar music is a good way to say, Ukraine, we still see you, we still hear you, we still know you're there. And it's not the same thing as, standing in Tiananmen Square, blocking an oncoming tank. But I do think there is something to be said for the power of saying the song doesn't get my vote, Ukraine does.
Yeah.
So
I completely agree with that. And, that's another fascinating part of Eurovision is the way that world geopolitics plays into what is happening at the moment that we come together, they come together to have this event. And to the previous idea of sort of placement not necessarily affecting how you do, one of the things I love most about Eurovision is the way that they really keep the party going for the entire 4 hours, and they keep the energy up. We're about to talk about Drag Race, where there's always a comedy challenge. There's usually a roast or a stand-up comedy special in which they always talk about how important it is to maybe, if you're a bad comedian, not be last, because last is such a difficult spot, but also you don't want to be in the middle because that's where you're the most forgettable. And I think a lot of that has to do with sort of the energy of crowds and the sort of we have so many choices when it comes to events. And this is true in Europe too. We have so many choices when it comes to events that you really have to think strategically about energy. But Eurovision is a unique once a year special thing that they have figured out how to keep it going the whole time and keep the energy of the spectators the whole time, such that I think you are right. I think you don't necessarily have to worry as much about I got a bad spot, because I think people really know what they're getting into and know what they're sitting down to watch, and are really down for if the most amazing song I hear is 13 of 26, I will still remember it and love it just as much as that last song that, might be fantastic.
Speaking of last song that might be fantastic, Kevo, would you please pull up a photo of Karaja one more time for us?
Karia,
thank you. I just can't ever look at him enough. I love him so much. I just think he's so great. Put on one hell of a performance last night. I just want to say congratulations to everybody. First place was amazing. Second place was amazing. This guy redefines queer punk for me in a way that I love. I am going to not sneeze on air.
You got this.
Okay. I said bury it in my face. Thank you. So,
and if you are a clothing designer or you run an Etsy store, people will be looking to buy that Karia top. So get to sewing.
Make me a half Tom of Finland, half that. So that with some leather straps, I'll wear it every day for the rest of my life. Now, I guess closing thoughts on Eurovision. Kevo, TK, honestly changed my life in a really good way. I'm going to do Eurovision by the week next year. I'm going to pick up a bunch of these songs. I'm going to make sure they hit my algorithm on YouTube so that I hear more from these brilliant artists. They've got a fan for life in me, and I can't wait to hear more from these artists. Teak, Kevo.
What you got, Kevin?
I'm sorry. In the words of Alyssa Edwards, the song.
Nailed it.
Not so much words, but fair enough. Yeah, I really liked it a lot. If I wished there were any breaks at all, it's just because you never wanted to leave the room, so you never wanted to like miss anything. So I could have used, if anything, just breaks for that. But it's such a testament to how it didn't feel like there was any seventh inning stretch. It didn't feel like there was any act where I was like, I'm good. Yeah, it was really a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to learning more about the process and doing it again. And I really appreciate you wanting to share this with us.
Well, I had such a good time watching it with you guys. It is rare that I get people to watch it with. The last couple years, I've just kind of watched it by myself. It's so funny to me how many people are like, no, that's Eurovision. I am in America. I will not be watching, which is just a very silly way to think of things, I think.
What a dumb arbitrary decision to make to miss out on some of the best songs I've heard all year.
Yeah. And Eurovision is one of those things that inspires me in a way that few other event musical television things do, because it's different than all the rest of them for me, for my life. And it just makes me think of all the ways I want to like apply the differences that I see in how Eurovision approaches a song contest to, how I approach my art, seeing all the other people who are doing similar things and how can I be different. And on top of all that, I love the spectacle. I love the drama. I love the performances. It's just so much fun, and it's really fun to share with people. And little gay boys who don't care for sports so rarely get competitive events like this, where you get to sit around with your buddies and scream at the TV and jump up and do all that stuff. But the things that we choose to compete in are equally valid for that, and it's one of the reasons that I love Drag Race so much. So I really appreciate you guys taking the time to share both with me, because they mean a lot to me, and I think they're better shared with friends.
Agreed, 1,000,000%. And while I personally feed Drag Race, Eurovision, but for dudes who don't know how to look good in a dress, into Bard to come up with the best way to showcase myself, I do believe we have some amazing commercials about some fun products you can check out here on X's for Show. So don't forget to like, subscribe, fall madly in love with me, and promise me forever.
Is that a move? No.
Oh, that was me saying. I was vibing.
To
So the
this
tracks.
great song that we have in our commercial music that's just such a banger and I'm so into and I'm just so curious about who wrote it and performed it and whether or not they're really handsome and talented.
I hear they
Well,
are.
the first thing I want to say is I am not Nobu Uematsu, so I cannot claim responsibility for the brilliant piece of music playing right now, Saber's Edge. Or is it Blinded by Light? Either way, it's from Final Fantasy. No, Blinded by Light. It's from Final Fantasy 13. It's no matter what, just really one of the great joys of this show is getting to make art that is referential of other people. And one of the great joys in my life the last year has been getting to be part of the drag race community. And it's unbelievable what drag race has come to mean to our family. And that's all thanks to both this guy right here, but a voice that is, of course, no stranger to this show. He is one of the guiding voices, founding voices. And just gosh darn it, if he isn't just the cutest button in the whole wide world.
Yeah.
Pushed us to watch this show for a zillion billion years. And because he just knew that we were fans meant for it all along. So everybody, please welcome to the stage, Pork Chop. Wait, no, that can't be right.
Me? I'm the first eliminated queen? That's okay. Hi.
Hey, Jojo, where can everybody find you?
You can follow me over on Twitter and Instagram at PeakJonah. That's Peak.
And we hope
Okay.
you don't get eliminated from this experience.
No, I hope they don't pull your lipstick.
Let me start with
It's so
Kevo and I.
complicated.
Exactly. That's where I want to start. Kevo and I have now watched 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 15, and we're in All Stars 2 and All Stars 8. And I was not prepared for.
This
I'm ready for
system.
Eurovision voting, not this secret lipstick assassin shit.
It's 1984 secret police. What? Drag espionage.
Michelle Visage is going to make a Jinx Monsoon clone with skin cells she finds on a chair from the 1970s. And then that clone is going to be a huge part of Drag Civil War.
And that's you.
In which
That
you
is-
death drop for your life.
That's my impression of Ross Matthews. The hilarious Ross Matthews.
Hilarious,
God.
Roth Matthews.
One
You
of the
know when
things-
you're a kid and you're walking around your house.
One of the things I love the most is how much the guest judges really do kind of represent the whole world. But having grown up a huge Michelle Visage fan, being part of this is really special. So, okay,
Okay.
rewind. I want to rewind a minute.
Yeah.
So let's start with this is mine, Kevo's first All Stars. So Kevo, I'd love to get your reaction to what we're doing, where we're going, who you know, where you're like, what? I'm putting it right out there. Darian, you are a silver fox, and woof. Darian, such a handsome man. Gosh. So Kevo, how are you feeling about this season, about these contestants? Talk to me, and then I need to hear from the two all-stars, as it were.
You talk. It's interesting. Like you pointed out, we're not quite used to this sort of voting system on the All Stars that we've experienced previously. So, and oh my gosh, and now the lip sync assassin and all of this, just every time, Rue just pulls out something new, doesn't she? Whereas
Jonah,
over on Project Runway, they're just sort of like, nope, same stuff, always weird.
When we were watching Jonah and they're like, it's Aja! I'm like, what the fuck is happening? And so I was like, okay, here's how I think I understand it. I think this is like unlockable DLC characters that get released later in the season.
That was when the European one came out, when you were like, Who is this character I've never even heard of? They weren't even released in America.
Pagina? I beloved her.
Pangina.
Pangina heels.
Pangina. You can be
Pan
Pagina.
loved her.
Yeah.
So, All Stars. Dazzle me.
So this is the 8th installment of the U.S. All-Star season, and like as they pointed out, every season's gonna have a twist. And sometimes they pull the twist out of their butts at the very end of the show, and it doesn't really make a lot of sense because they didn't tell them beforehand. That's straight out of different All-Stars.
Don't tell them which one.
So what I really love about this cast of characters, these queens, is that there is a very wide range of different people cast here. We have people who were early outs, eliminated first or second. We have people who were eliminated towards a little bit towards the midway. We have people who've made it to the finale or close to it. I was when this cast was announced and we're seeing, and they're premiering all these queens, I was so giddy because there were a couple of people in here who I've been waiting for so long, like Mrs. Kasha Davis, Darian Lake, Jessica Wilde. These were people that I've been like wanting to have on All Stars for so long. Especially Darian, I was actually kind of also hoping she'd come back as a lip sync assassin because she is an incredible performer and knows exactly what to do.
Love her so much.
I also love
much.
The international queen of my heart and many hearts, Jimbo, is here.
Jimbo!
And they're finally doing these crossovers of allowing queens from different franchises to be able to compete on more the US season, which I would probably argue has the widest audience.
Yeah.
And it's really, really opening the doors for a lot of different queens to be able to appear here. So there's so many that I, from the international seasons I'm excited to see. If there's anything you need to know about me, if there's anything, is I am a die-hard Candy Muse stan. I will not stand for any slander against Candace Musical. She had one of the roughest go-abouts on her original season, and when the world kind of realized, you know what, she made some damn good TV for us. She really knew exactly what she was doing, and she has the charisma to honestly own the world. And so I'm super excited to get to see her again.
I just love it. It sounds like she's always talking with a bran muffin in her mouth.
We love that.
We do. I'm not coming for it. I literally love it.
I have a little bit of a different feeling about Candy, though. She has really grown on me. I do feel that Candy, in many cases, reaped what she sowed. I think that it's so tough because Drag Race fandom is so incredibly toxic that sometimes queens really do deserve a little bit of clap back when they behave a certain way. But that's oh, that wasn't cool, or I watched that and it made me uncomfortable. And what actually ends up happening is so appalling that it's just okay, now this is so bad that I don't even want to be but did they get the lesson? I'm just let's gas this person up because nobody deserves to feel that way. Silky Nutmeg Ganache of season 11 is another one. Really wasn't a queen that I loved. Really didn't like her behavior. But then the way that fandom addressed that by being so staggeringly racist and fat phobic just made it so that I was I'm not interested in not liking this person anymore because they've just been treated too terribly. So, that's a weird thing that happens with Drag Race, but I am now very much I just rewatched season 13 and Candy is really fun. She does in fact make for great TV. She's really talented. She's a great drag queen. And she's one to watch and one that I'm rooting for this season. But yeah, this is an interesting bunch and it's an interesting setup for the season. Lip Sync Assassins have been since season 5.
Yeah. They introduced this current All Stars format in All Stars 5. All Stars 5, I think, had a slight problem of not having a large enough cast to really benefit from it. Yeah. But when we saw it in All Stars 6, it really shone, and it felt oh wow, okay, a lot of these lip sync assassins are here to win. They get nothing out of it. The
No,
lip sync
they're just there
assassins
to kill
get
it.
screen time.
Yeah.
And when
they're
they
just there to
come,
up their booking fee.
when they come on and they're like, I'm giving it my all, like I'm gonna win this 10,000. It's the most
Yeah.
amazing thing in the entire world to see people actually fight for it.
And season 5 also was kind of it was kind of like the season 7 of All Stars, season 7 of regular Drag Race of All Stars, insofar as like amazing cast. I think production got a little wonky that season in a way that really didn't serve the cast. The thing I always go back to is the I'm in love with musical challenge, which, memeably stupid as it is, was just such a waste of time for that group of contestants who really acquitted themselves as best as they could with that particular challenge. But like, you really do every once in a while, you get those absolute duds, and you can feel right now the energy. And like, even though I felt like the news challenge was a little bit odd, I feel like production is on point for this particular episode, or for this particular season.
Very surprised because typically in All Stars, they've made it the trend of the first episode being a talent show, but they later call a variety show.
Yeah.
And it was we've talked about it when we watched the first episode. It was a very interesting choice by production to not do that with this cast of queens. I'm not sure if they're going to do what they did on a previous season, which is they waited till the end of the show to do this, even though that season had 2 of them, basically. No, it only had 1. It did only have 1. It is just a little interesting because that's where the Kevo and Nico have heard me say the joke. Okay, the first episode dropped, 15 new singles are out.
Right.
That originates in All Stars.
Well, and the fact of the matter is, I think that really might have been why they decided not to do it. I'm looking at this group and I don't know that I'm seeing anybody who's going to give us something that isn't dancing over a single that they're lip syncing to. Maybe Jimbo, because Jimbo did one of the best, most out there talent show moments of all time.
When you guys get to the first UK versus the world, you'll see an incredible talent show performance.
Yeah. But, looking at this group, I don't really see anybody, maybe Kasha would do like a stand-up comedy act, a type 5, which I would love to see. But I feel like maybe they knew that, because we just did season 15 where I think we did have too many of those. I think that.
Well, so I do just want to break in real quick with something you guys mentioned a little bit earlier. It's sort of the nature of the lip sync assassin, which I was not prepared for. But something that I really just want to say that I love about the nature of Drag Race is the way they take care of their own. There are some classic queens. There's, some maybe personal human favorites like Dax, Dax exclamation point, who I personally have had the pleasure of getting to know and think could do a real good job, having not seen the fair shake. But speaking of people who got their fair shake, but I'm going to watch anyway. My favorite moment in television history is quite literally Valentina asking to keep the mask. I can't even talk about it. It is literally the most engaged I have ever been by I can't, no, ever. I have never experienced shock like that in my life. The first time I got my nipple pierced, I went into shock in the parking lot and couldn't breathe and was sweating profusely and thought I was going to die. This was that. I had that level reaction. So I'm going to watch everything Valentina does for the rest of my entire life. Because that was the most insane thing I'd ever seen. And any opportunity to support more Latin American programming is really great in my eyes. And so I just really love seeing the way they take care of their own. But could you guys tell me a little bit about Valentina's co-host here? Because I have no idea.
I'm personally not familiar with her.
She is Lolita Banana. And so I don't know too much about her, but she is evidently going to be co-hosting. That's all I know. And so I'm just really curious if anybody was familiar with her from the franchise.
we might not, but that doesn't mean she's not known, and
Of
where
course.
in her circles. From the promo image, she
Yeah.
looks stunning.
Yeah.
So great first impression.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
love that.
She's not a queen that I know, but one of the things I was saying to Nico is like Drag Race
France
Mexico.
season 1. Sorry.
Yeah, she was on France season 1. Yeah. Drag Race Mexico is a really big next step for the Drag Race franchise because Mexico is huge, and a lot of other Central and South American nations follow Mexican TV. So this is not, of course they all should have their own drag races as well, but this will be content for a wide swath of people. There's of course already been Drag Race España, but Mexico and Spain speak the same language, but are very different countries and cultures. So this is much closer to the rest of South and Central America's culture. And that's a huge thing. And what I was saying to Nico is like, Bad Bunny is the best-selling artist of the last few years by like an insane margin. The numbers are just nuts, but they are numbers that are primarily world audience numbers that are not American numbers. And so while he is definitely a celebrity here and his star is rising, I don't think we think of him as like one of our biggest celebrities. And similarly, I think Drag Race Mexico is kind of going to end up being the Bad Bunny of Drag Race franchises, where like to us in America and to a lot of American Drag Race fans, it's maybe not going to seem like the world's biggest deal, but in terms of how it expands the franchise to a whole new group of people, how the money that generates, the talent that generates, the more that adds onto the machine will ultimately benefit everybody. And I'm just very excited to see, the more we can do things like X country versus the world, anything that we can do to make the international franchises part of a family that is recognizable to all Drag Race fans is really exciting. And I actually think is like a really great form of backdoor cultural exchange.
If you would like to know a very interesting fact that I found out, one of the most biggest entrepreneurs in the world, Mr. Beast here on YouTube, talks about how he has a channel that just translates his videos in Spanish, and they outnumber his main channel by a large margin in terms of like view count and that money that generates and all that different things. And it just goes to show like as cultural centrally as the US can be when it comes to TV media content and how much it produces and how much it gets out there, there's a large audience that don't speak English that will consume it if it is a more spoken language, something like Spanish.
Yep.
Yeah, but I say even if they do speak English, I absolutely would not blame somebody for just wanting to enjoy something if they're bilingual in a language they also speak. And as a Cuban man, and Jonah, not to like, I don't know, point at your brownness, but like as a Puerto Rican man, the two of us do represent sort of maybe the whiter side of Latin culture. And I promise you, I'm not gonna, it's got Valentina, but I'm gonna watch it either way to support Spanish culture, Latin culture, Cuban culture, Mexican culture. When you're Cuban but you're like white, and by that I mean like you don't really live in like a Cuban area. When you're Dominican but don't live in a Dominican area, a lot of times you don't have the luxury of being like, oh, I live in a Cuban network. You are forcibly diversified within the Latin community, as opposed to coming to it on your own, which can also be really beautiful. But like, I never really knew Cuban culture. I knew, all Latin people living in New Jersey culture. And so Mexican culture has always been a big part of my being Cuban, because the other Mexican kids in school, the Mexican kids in school, the other Latin kids in school celebrated Mexican culture the way I celebrated Cuban culture. So there was always that sort of interplay of ideas. And so this to me feels really good. I'm so excited about this. I think the two hosts look beautiful on the front piece. Having just finished Violet Chachki's season and coming to terms with the fact that I am really into girly girl queens. Oh my goodness.
Good
I
for you, honey.
yeah.
I-
Oh man, they're so pretty.
I'm really appreciative of a lot of these international franchises allowing queens who are from those nations, whether they're directly from there, whether they're descendants from it, to be able to host it. It started with season 11 alum, you haven't met her yet, Brooklyn Heights hosting Drag Race Canada. And that also, opened the doors to Drag Race France, which also just got announced its second season, hosted by season 12 alum Nikki Doll. So I really love that these queens, because obviously
Taking
it's
care of
RuPaul's
their
show.
own, man.
Exactly, but
Yeah, that's
who
what you're
better
saying.
to be one of the better judges of someone who's already gone through the experience, who's going to give you the best advice of like this: if you want to win this competition, this is what you should be doing.
Siriano.
I really appreciate that, and that is absolutely the case. I definitely saw the announcement for Drag Race Canada and thought Brooklyn Heights is not the RuPaul of Canada. I'm sorry, but she's just not. And that is true, but
But
really
hold on. Does that mean that Jeffrey Bauer Chapman
would be Michelle Visage? Yes.
I say, is he not the Michelle Visage of Canada?
He is not. He's sort of like the evil twin version because like time
he was
nasty.
fired, so he's the Santino.
Yeah, there it is. But Drag Race Canada does stuff differently. Of course, their judges all vote equally. It's a much different
That's so Canadian.
Yeah. They do their own thing, and like in that way, Brooklyn is fantastic for the job. And Joni, you nailed exactly why it totally should be okay. I'm just like such a little like, come on, there has to be a Canadian that's like famous and deserves it. But I think Brooklyn is fantastic, and I'm excited to see how other franchises break out of the standard Drag Race mold, because the fact of the matter is, I think ultimately we may end up having to take inspiration from them, because Ru can't do this forever.
No, and I just want to see my precious Alaska and Bianca, because they're like, they're my girls. They're my home girls. Adore was my home girl, but I need to sit on. I need to think about this.
Yeah. Do you need a 5? He's very upset.
No,
I was doing a bit, but my bit took me into another room to really sell it. I'm catching up on all of this. I'm like, man, I'm just so in love with this show, and so I'm trying to absorb as much of it as I can as quickly as possible. And so I just saw some shocking Adore Delano, who I want to put out there. Adore Delano has maybe one of the best vocal tones I've ever heard in my entire life. I think she might be one of the finest singers to ever be on TV. Just such a fan of her voice. Not a fan of her All Stars run. I'm a bigger fan of Smash Mouth's All Star run. So let's now that I've had a chance to talk about Valentina, the prettiest girl in the world, let's jump back to All Stars. Cool. So All Stars, oh man. Okay, so
hold on. Nico, you always lead the conversation and go, first impressions, everybody. But All Stars 8, first impressions. First impressions of this experience.
Okay. I am famously an old soul, but like younger brother energy around old souls. So when I say this positively and with love. This cast skews a little Cocoon, and it's shocking how AARP this RPDRAS is. And while I am checked in to the old folks' home with them, this did in some ways feel that, okay, first of all, Alexis Michelle, best in show, girl. You are looking so good. I'm so impressed with how much you've grown. I am just waiting for you to say, but I just thought I did in the top. And so I'm surprised. I'm just surprised that no one told me that No, I just thought you would tell me I'd be in the bot. Okay, so I'm ready for that.
Something like that is absolutely going to happen.
James, I loved you in your season, but you always seemed afraid to love yourself. And most improved human being in the world. So impressed with you, James. Love you so much. It just felt so good to see women who feel like my old friends already, because that's one of the things that Drag Race girls give you. They give you who they are. And the second I saw Jimbo, I forgot everything else in the world. And my God, this is Pagliacci. This is like the greatest clown in the world. This is everything. So that's how I feel. I feel like this is confronting me with that, man, I wish I'd gotten into Drag Race when I first started meeting phenomenal drag queens like the unstoppable and irrepressible Demanda Martini, who you should all go check out on every social media. Follow, like, support, Patreon, Ko-fi, do the thing, Angela Bassett, and big fan. Really should have gotten into it when Jonah said to, when TK said to. And so I feel like I'm making up for lost time. That's how I feel. These women, I don't know. I feel stronger because of them. When these women have these moments of strength, like I think about Bianca. Oh my God. Bianca reminds me of as a Cuban man, Bianca is everybody I ever wished would have just been like, it's okay. You're gay and you're tacky and it's fine. Like, I just wish anybody in my family would have done that for me. That moment where Bob stands up for Derek. Man, Bob should have let Derek hang himself. But Bob said, I am an activist. And my job is to make sure that the queer community is stronger together. And Bob put the queer community before him. God damn it. I can't talk about this on air. These women are the strongest women in the universe in some ways. And so I just feel like I am getting to see like a grand dames of the stage. And that all said, damn, these bitches old, okay? Like, these women are so old. I'm here for it. But it is a truly rewarding experience, unlike so few I've had in my life.
Part of the nature of an All-Stars is how young can the youngest queen even be if it's after a season. But the youngest
if it's detox at any given point, the youngest part of her could be only several weeks old.
The youngest here is 27. A lot of the queens specifically skew 37, 38. And then the two oldest by a stretch are Darian and Miss Kasha.
Kasha, man, number one, girl, love your cereal. Number two, there is a certain level of elegance that is usually reserved for older queens, but a Jinx Monsoon has it from birth that we sort of apply to an older queen. Ginger Minge kind of had it too. This sense of why can't I think of her name? I keep wanting to call her Deborah Messy. Kevi, you're like, no, she's an insurrection, and I'm like, no, she's in curtains, and I'm like, no,
Donna Murphy.
There's a certain sense that each one of these women are kind of a Donna Murphy. They're sort of that bigness of a Patti LuPone. And first of all, we don't treat our women over the age of 38 with any respect in the first place. So how could I imagine we would do it for men dressing as women? But I think that something that RuPaul is really learning to shed is a sense of the preciousness of the commodification of age. There is a warm embrace of an aging queendom. And Kevo, like you said, it's All-Stars. We're reaching back 15 years with this franchise. There's a sense of, right? That's how long it's been on at this point.
Yeah.
We're reaching back a really long way. There are so many beautiful women who have aged so much, so gracefully. And some who have aged like shit and want to show that off too. Bitch, come be a mess. I love it.
I also have to say, it's something about queer culture as well, that there is this odd sense of time due to the way we look at culture, the way that we embrace and use culture for our own art. I'm looking at this promo shot of Miss Kasha Davis and these, headshots that she's holding out to these boys where she looks like Farrah or one of the Charlie's Angels. And I'm like, yeah, you're old, but if you're 51, that means that you were born in 1972. So you were in elementary school in the 80s. You're not actually from the 70s in any way.
Those should be pictures of you looking like
that...
Tawny Katane.
Those
your
are her
heyday when you were that
pictures.
age. Your heyday when you were that age was in the 90s and the early 2000s, not the 70s. So you're already dating yourself to make yourself look like you are 70 by making yourself look like you performed at Studio 54 in your personality. And so I think that's part of what is making you feel like these women are so old. Well, they want you to think they're old until they don't want you to think they're old.
All right, so I just want to go out on the record and say we've already lost 2 queens, right? We lost the unbelievably beautiful, the incredibly brave, and the one-of-a-kind talent and beauty, Monica Beverly Hills, Cop 3. And I am devastated by that. I only wish I had thought to do a version of the theme from Beverly Hills Cop.
I would have done a mashup, Troop Beverly Hills Cop.
Oh, amazing. Now, I feel like one of the things that seeing Monica really represented for me was a really beautiful way to understand how far the trans community has come in visibility. When Monica was on, it was still, there were some questions about the right way to use terminology. And now we live in a world where there have been several incredible women who are trans women who have won that crown. And most recently, the irrepressible Sasha Colby, queen of my heart, goddess as she is. Every time she says goddess and goddess, I immediately cut to COVID from Project Runway freaking out about Mimi. You're a real life goddess.
Oh my God, he's so excited.
He's the sweetest man in the world. So, how did you guys feel about losing Monica Beverly Hills? Again, just really a class act and an incredible lady.
I was a little sad because she's we just semi recently watched season 5, and she was a queen who was eliminated 3rd on her season, and she was also a queen that WoW hasn't really worked with in terms of their online content. WoW, anything on Website Plus, anything on their YouTube channel. There are certain queens from plenty of seasons that they bring back for, even if it's one time, it's still a little bit something. But Monica was someone that they haven't really shown as if they were we're really not that interested. So when I saw her, I was really excited because this is a brand new audience for her. This is a moment. It's been 10 years since she's been on, and I was really excited to see, okay, how far have you come, where show me that growth. And I am a little sad that we lost her so early, but I am excited to see a lot of what the package she's brought. I am slightly
fan games, baby.
I don't know how to feel about the fan games yet.
Helps a lot.
But I will say I do very much appreciate that they are allowing these queens to showcase their outfit packages that they brought, because these
they were doing it anyway. So Rue might as well have made a thing out of it, and
Rue might as well make money on it.
I wasn't going to use those words, but if you want to use those words, those are the words.
People, these queens spend a lot of money. Some of them even go into debt just to bring the amount of things, and as there is a very large conversation happening about Drag Race becoming a little gate kept in terms of price, where as we continue more and more, our expectations of what we want to see on the runway becomes a little bit out of budget for many people. Especially if you're planning, which you should be there for every single week. It's a lot of money for all these custom outfits, and I just, I'm a little bummed to see that we didn't get to see a lot more of her, but I am excited that we get to see everything, and I wish her the best of luck in the Fame Games.
Because, yeah, I think that's the bummer part of All Stars is now you actually do know these queens and you're excited to see them back. And especially at this end of the season, you're like, no, not yet.
And there's somebody else. We'll talk about it. I don't want to name names yet, but they talk about when you go back to All Stars, it's a little bit more comfortable because this isn't your first time. For a lot of queens, it's their first time being on TV. Period. It's a lot of their first time just being around cameras when they go around for the first go when it's the first go around. When the second go around, you're a little bit more used to it. You're familiar with the crew and the cast and production. You'll see familiar faces. You'll see people that you're used to. You might have the same story producer. You might, there's a lot of familiarity of like I could be a little bit more comfortable. I could be a little bit more confident. And that is one of the more exciting things about All Stars is like these queens do get to be a little bit more confident because they've already done it the first time.
Mm-hmm.
TK, lay it on me. All-star me, big guy.
I think Jonah nailed some of the really most important and salient points. I love that they are doing the Queen of the Fame Games this season because we do want to see it. We do want to see what these girls brought. And I think turning that into a secondary competition is a great idea. I think they will probably wind up having to perfect it. I'm not sure how voting is going to work. I'm not sure how honest it will be or if it will become a fan favorite situation.
Fan favorite.
Work fan favorite. So but I think it is a really good idea. I always watch What You Packin', the post show on YouTube that Michelle Visage does, where she interviews the most recently eliminated queen, and they take a look at 3 of their looks that they were going to bring, but that's not enough. And, it does deserve to be kind of put in for consideration. So I think, adding that to the All-Stars mix is so important. There's been a lot of talk and rumors about how this may be the last season that does eliminations, because we had a series that did no eliminations. The points still stacked up, but no queens went home. They competed every challenge. And as Jonah was saying, it's so expensive to be there. I think it's just starting to be unfair to ask these people to, put in thousands of dollars to arrive and then go home
Quit
so
their
early.
jobs.
Yep.
Yeah.
Possibly sublet their apartments.
Yep.
Oh, I don't want to tear up talking about her. But you guys just watched season 8 and you saw Chi Chi DeVayne, who didn't have a lot of money, who was working at a gas station making, minimum wage, a low amount of money, and was making her outfits there. That's not something I don't think we're really going to see ever again, is these queens that those diamonds that just need to be polished, that just need that opportunity to be shown by that jeweler, to be like, we love this. It's just one of those things.
And, I would love if there were some other, I've always said, I wish they would expand the product line and do specifically a shorter season or a shorter version of the show that is specifically creative talent focused. And I wish they would do, maybe it's a 4-episode mini season where it's literally just a pageant, for all of the girls who compete in the pageant system to be able to do Drag Race and not have to do the same types of challenges as, girls who really are comedians and who do comedy and drag, which is something I want to see all day long. But I would love to give, I like this, everybody trying their best and trying at things that they may fail at. I think that's still a great format, but I'd love to see other versions of the product. And, something that where the expectation is you won't be spending a lot of money would, I think, be really fascinating. And, that kind of is how I'm feeling about the season of All Stars. Is I love that they are still innovating with this particular product, that they are always looking for new twists and new things to do to keep it fresh. That never bothers me. I think it really does do everybody the justice of it sort of levels out the playing field a little bit in that way of we are all clearly talented, but there's going to be some wrenches thrown in the gears that have nothing to do with this person is better than this person, because this is just a game and you should not evaluate every queen as though like, well, she was first out, so she's actually not very good. Because there are other factors in play when it comes to an all-star season. I am sad about Monica. Unfortunately, I did see that it made sense as a decision, and that is the reality of this. Is sometimes the person who gets sent home is kind of the most appropriate. Naisha, I have a very kind of cynical perspective on. I like Naisha. I think she's great. Sorry.
I want to get to Naisha in a second.
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, Kevo, I would love to hear your opinions on, our first eliminated queen, Monica.
I want to hear Kevo's opinions on Monica, and then I want, starting with Kevo, everybody's opinion on Aja.
Sad. Just sad. That's why I even pointed out before, that's the harder thing about All-Stars is you already know these people so well, and so you're excited to see them back, and you don't want almost any of them cut that quickly, especially because she was such a important figure in Drag Race history, and I know what a rough road she's had. I would have hoped to see a little bit more of her. Aja was super unexpected. Doesn't even look like herself, and we literally just watched that season, so I'm like, what's even happening? I was so overwhelmed by that point. So I am looking forward to another lip sync assassin that I perhaps know a little better. So now that I'm prepared for this system, see who else they're gonna get.
I thought Aja looked beautiful. She looked like a model. She looked like Linda Evangelista.
She really did look gorgeous.
She looks gorgeous. I think she did kill it. I think she did win. No, shit show there. No feeling like somebody lied. I was just sad to see a beautiful lady eliminated that I never got to really know. Not that I would have wanted to see anybody else go, but
yeah.
She really does make the case for like it would be great not to do eliminations, because I think at the end of the day, she strikes me, just from what little I've seen and what little I know, as maybe somebody who is not like super likely to make it to number one if she's there the whole time, but she's still somebody who I would love to see how she does in various challenges. I'd love to see her acting and her comedy, and we're at the point where I really do want to see these girls when I'm committing to a season of the show.
Oh, absolutely. I was so happy to see Aja. We should also be, using her full name of Aja LaBeija, because she is of the House of LaBeija. She, for you, Kevo.
No longer the House of Aja.
No longer the House of Aja. She walks ballroom with the House of LaBeija, and she adopted that name. And I know that's incredible, and it's like such an important feat for anybody. So I was really excited that they not only, used her full name on the show, but the fact that she got to, just come back, have a good time lip syncing, because she's a very strong lip syncer. She knows how to perform, and absolutely Aja won. I was slightly surprised. Kevo, you haven't seen Kahana perform before, but in her original lip syncs on her season, she did a lot more stunts. She did a lot more tricks, and it felt like she was holding back just a little bit. And that's sometimes a strategy you see on All Stars
when it's for your legacy and not for your life.
Because there is an advantage to not being the one to have to eliminate people.
Yep.
They already get tipped $5,000, and that's amazing.
Right.
And if you really want that 10K, go grab that 10K. But there is something to say of, I didn't have to send anybody home.
I also think if you are expecting the possibility of a Lollapalooza, not playing your best cards early on in the lip syncs is a solid way to keep them guessing.
So, all right. Now, like I said, I love Latin boys. So I just want to say, number one, Naisha, I love this proud Latin George Michael thing you're doing in your Talking Heads. I love the Nick Varios jacket look. Very Miami Nights. I love it. You look so handsome. Done dirty 3 times now. Girl, you are never going to get ahead on this show. But as it's been explained to me, I did not know that the beautiful Naisha, who really, this image does not capture her beauty. This image does not capture her energy, her look. She serves so hot, so good. But TK, you were telling me that like she got a career.
Yeah. She works quite a lot in LA. She has become very famous this last year for hosting the Roscoe's viewing party, which is where we've gotten so many fantastic clips of queens kind of spilling the tea. And, it's too bad because I think that's a challenge that they do on Drag Race sometimes where she could have killed it. She is a great host. I think I would love to see her hosting any kind of interview show with some of my favorite queens, because I really think she does a great job. She does a great job of empathizing. She rolls with the punches of like people kind of sometimes they say something that's like off-putting or maybe a little like and she knows, exactly, and she knows how to keep it going in a way that's very impressive. And as I was saying earlier, so like props to her. She really is talented. It's not that I'm like she should go home. Come on, like she should go home so that she can take more of these pictures. I'm
good for you, Naisha.
Good, work fan favorite.
Good for us.
Naisha was a queen that I was really another one of those queens I was really excited to see again, especially because like our current winner Sasha Colby, like other contestant Brooklyn Heights, Naisha Lopez is a former Miss Continental, and that is a huge thing. Like we jokingly talk about what are the EGOTs of Drag Race, and right now the two are winning Drag Race and winning Miss Continental, and
I guess All Stars.
Sure, why not?
That can be the take. You know what? That can be the take.
What's a Tony? Shout out to Gina Gunn. But Naisha was a queen I really wanted to see more of, especially because I know the incredible feats and the incredible things you have to do to be able to win something like Miss Continental. As TK said, she's a fantastic host. She's pretty quick-witted. She's able to come off the cuff, like some pretty funny things. Like she's a queen that I don't think the show really wanted to showcase her best talents, and that is a little just unfortunate because I was awaiting of it's a really big deal of what she has won already, and I'm really excited to see what she can do, because she could perform, she could dance, she's beautiful, she knows exactly how to serve glamour and all these this beautiful aesthetic, and so she was just someone I wanted we keep saying it, and I'm probably gonna say this about everybody who's getting eliminated in these early episodes. I just wish she lasted a little bit longer so I got to see more of you. But so the nature of any competition show like this, somebody has to go home.
And I definitely, what I was saying to the guys is I maybe am a little bit cynical and see this as a strategic thing for Naisha. She seems to me to be so sharp and so understanding of drag as a business and Drag Race. I sort of have trouble believing that she didn't know that she was not likely to make it very far, in which case this is a really good chance to get some TV airtime, which is a good resume builder. It means that she can tour more readily, and I just sort of think that I want to think that she kind of had to have been planning to not be in there a super long time, just because the things that she doesn't do are things that are so key for Drag Race. She very clearly just is not an actor. She doesn't do comedy. She's not gonna do well in the roast. So I think when you are at this professional of a level,
Jimbo's boobs are big.
How big
Done.
are they?
Really
Boobs?
big.
Seriously.
So, I tend to think, I look at some queens and I'm like, I feel pretty confident that they understood that they were here to get their face in front of the crowd again and not to like fight for everything.
No.
And maybe I'm totally wrong, but
Career strategy is a strategy too. You don't always have to do every season to take the crown. Some seasons are about booking fees and about keeping yourself busy. Sometimes you just say yes to dinner for a free meal.
precisely.
Kevo,
So
your thoughts?
I thought I
Oh, Kevo,
went.
I'm so sorry. I thought you did.
Maybe I didn't. It was
Go again.
the order in which we've watched everything is a little disorienting. That we just watched her go home twice, and
3
now we're
times.
seeing her go home a third time. That's super disorienting. So that's built-in sympathy for Naisha for me, where I'm like, God, bitch just can't catch a break.
I'm sorry.
This was at
So-
least the median in between 9th and 12th. I'll say that.
Oh yeah, this was it was a new number for her. Congratulations. I want to just put out there a couple of things. I love that Lala Ree looks kind of like, and I mean this literally, the Pretty Femme version of Shaquille O'Neal in drag sometimes.
Yeah.
Like really, truly beautiful. And really takes some very strong masculine features and softens them out, makes them strong and regal. I think she's so beautiful. I think she moves real good for someone with her like body thickness. Real impressed with all of these queens that move at 6'4", like they are 5'6". I think that is amazing. Alexis Michelle, Jimbo, and James Manfield. They're my choices. But Darian, if you ever wanted to get coffee sometime, I'd love to take you up for coffee.
Because we talked about Aja, I really just want to quickly talk about. I was so happy to see Pangina back again, and the fact that she had to lip sync against Jimbo. There was already a built-in rivalry of Pangina sending Jimbo home and beating her in a lip sync previously. It was. I was so happy to see her, and I hope that potentially means she's a contender for a different All-Star season. Though if she's on it, we just know she's gonna win. She was, part of the host of Being Drag Race Thailand, a phenomenal series, a phenomenal franchise that I hope one day eventually we'll be able to come back. I thought the right person won, but it was a good fight.
Anybody else? Any thoughts on final threes or anything about what we've seen so far from All Stars 8?
No, I mean, I'm really excited to see how the Queen of the Fame game plays out.
Yeah.
We had such a monumental, different All-Star season with All-Star 7. It's very interesting to get back to a return to form. This definitely feels like a season that people's schedules came into play. I don't really imagine, not that this was like anybody's second choice, but I imagine this was one of a number of groups that were suggested, and it's always interesting how that plays out with All Stars. But it's nice to have a little bit of a return to form with all of these older queens in the mix. Like I don't know. I'm kind of rambling at this point, but I'm really excited to see how this all plays out is what it comes down to.
Jonah.
Like I said before, a really, really fun cast of queens from all across different positions in different seasons. It feels really well balanced in that. It feels like these are a lot of queens who really were waiting and hungry to get that second opportunity on All Stars, and I'm really excited to see. If my prediction, my hope, my want, I'm manifesting a win between Candy Muse, Jimbo, or Heidi in Closet. Those are my rise of right now, my picks to
Loved
win.
Heidi. Never met her. Loved her. Thought she was great.
I good choices. I think maybe I definitely Candy, I think, is a real front runner. She's the only one that I'm like, I feel pretty confident that she's going all the way. Darian really strikes me as somebody who could, and I would love to see. Kasha as well. I'm really going for the old girls, but I hope we do get one of the older queens and one of the queens from an older season up through the end. My hope would be that James makes it. James is such a talented person. Another one who maybe is not built for drag race competition, and so that might be her eventual undoing. But, I'm stoked that she wasn't the first or the second one out, so already she's just killing it. I would love to see her take it all the way. I think she is campy and adorable and has such a good heart and is such a fun queen to watch.
Kevo, talk to me. How do you feel about your first Drag Race All-Stars?
Is always hard for me to speculate on, because, part of the nature of this being a game show and being so chaotic is anything could happen. We just watched All-Stars Season 2, and spoilers on an old thing, but, oh wow, we didn't see Dora coming. We're watching, or what season did we just watch? 9. We didn't see the double elimination with Dax coming. Like, you never know.
8.
8, thank you. It's been such a whirlwind. It's hard to keep track, but that's even what I mean. Like, there's all these things all over where you never know what's going to happen. Who was the one who went out on the scent challenge, the perfume challenge that season?
Ivy Winters.
Oh yeah,
Ivy Winters went out on a perfume challenge. Like, that's so chaotic. That's not her fault. She's not a perfumologist, but that's what got her kicked out. So I would say, everyone loves Jimbo. So Jimbo obviously is a huge contender for the finale, but Jimbo could go home next week. Something could happen where Jimbo could self-term, or Jimbo could just flunk on a challenge. Just people beef it sometimes.
Or challenge partners make challenges so crazy sometimes, because you never know what your partner is going to either bring out in you or even contribute to the scene. Like, we've seen so frequently in partner scenes where the partner does a great job, but they're just outshone.
Let's not forget the partner challenge of Sasha Colby and Anitra being together on the comedy challenge, and they both beefed that.
Yep.
1 and 2 for the season.
And it came down to them. Yup, they were 1 and 2. And look how either one of them could have gone out on that challenge. You never know. You really don't ever know.
Any of my Demi Lovato California Sober.
California Sober, I loved it for the fact that it was terrible, but gosh, what would culture be?
All right, Jonah, I know you're not sticking around with us for Project Runway, but I know you also are pretty invested in this Project Runway Season 20. You're going to be on with us when we cover it naturally, when it starts airing. This upcoming cast, there's some big names. I know your literal all-time favorite competitor is in this season, right? So any big names you're excited for?
Wait, who'd you say is not in it?
Kenley's not in it.
Oh, I love you, Kenley. There's a couple of people.
Throw a cat at him.
A couple of people I'm really excited to see. Number one, first and foremost, Hester Sunshine. I'm just getting red talking about her. And I hope to one day to be able to have like a custom Hester something. The other love of my life, Katao. Oh my god, I'm so happy to see her again. It's been way too long. one of my favorite designers, one of my favorite competitors, Rami. There's just so many good people this season.
And let's just say it one time. Saun.
The icon herself. No, talking about very similar to All Stars, Jessica Wilde, not appearing in Drag Race anything for 13 years. In a very same way of Saun not appearing in anything Project Runway related for 17 to 18 years. It's a long time coming.
I just want to put out there that, oh my God, this vision board, whether it's some deep cut. I mean, first of all, I just want to say, Victor Luna, you are looking so fine. You got some newer people, like you got Prajay. I am so excited to see Prajay. But if I can, the Bij is back.
Oh, Bijmi.
Bijmi is back. I am freaking the hell out.
I have this chart up.
He's all the way in the lower left. The Bij is back, looking so handsome, so ready for this, ready to be the DMV man he's always been. I'm so excited. But anyway, Jonah, I can't wait to talk about this with you when the season premieres and to shit on Brittany. Until
Drag her.
gather her. So until the time comes to be all about that Prun's life, where can everybody find you online?
If you want to follow me and tweet to me about either of these two shows that I love dearly and so much, you can follow me over on Twitter and Instagram at Peak Jonah. That's Peak.
So while Jonah's off in his peak era, we're going to run a commercial. And when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about this Project Runway reveal, this new trailer, this new cast. And we're going to have a great old time finishing out this broadcast. So stay liked, stay subscribed, stay sexy, stay woke, stay registered to vote, all sorts
Stay
of
hydrated.
things. Stay hydrated, stay high.
I remember, if you stay all those things, you ain't got to get all those things.
And say hi to your mother for me. It's Mother's Day.
True. Call your mother.
Okay, so we're back. It's a good time. We're here. Hour number. We're back. Hour number 2. You're here with Eurovision, and we're talking all about your favorite pop songs. Graham Norton.
Johnny Weir, and I'm in a romper, and I'm just having a delightful time in this penthouse.
And this guy wants nothing to do with us. I think technically that British accent of mine counts as a hate crime. I'm really sorry.
I'm not even sure what my accent was.
TK, what was that? You're unmuted.
I will be filing charges.
Oh, okay. I was like, wow, it's so passive aggressive. It's on mute. Okay. So much in the same way, we've been like, TK, we would like to gay with you on Drag Race, and we would like to world with you on Eurovision. We've been like, would you clothing with us on Project Runway? And this season of Project Runway season 20, represents the first numbered All-Stars season. So for those who don't know, Project Runway is actually a huge franchise. There's 19 seasons of Project Runway, 7 seasons of All-Stars, 2 seasons of Junior, 2 seasons of Under the Gun, 1 season of Project Accessories, 2 seasons of Models of the Runway. It's an empire. And this is the first numbered All-Stars. And it's a legitimate All-Stars. So Kevo and I are piss our pants excited because these are like, this is like the motherfuckery was called out and deployed to the set. But TK, what does it represent to you as somebody new to this franchise who maybe knows a handful of these names, if that many?
I am in the unique place of, well, it's not a unique place, but amongst this group, you know, I have this other show in which I have experienced a ton of the standard format, All-Stars format. And so I know how important it is to the overall show brand. And like, Nico, you and I have talked because I've been like, yeah, you know, they do this thing on All-Stars and it's weird. And you're like, yeah, I mean, they do the version of that on Project Runway as well, and it's really weird. So like, I have really, I think, solid expectations. And while I don't necessarily have the emotional reaction to hearing some of the names that you guys do, I also can tell right off the bat that what I'm getting into is like, next level would be the wrong word, but like they're really going for something this time. They really made some solid choices and took some big swings, and I can go in with the energy to be excited about that, even if I don't have the personal connection and knowledge to each of the individual characters.
And characters is what they are.
Yeah, I know I could have said contestants.
Because this isn't really who any of them are. Who we're going to talk about is the performance of Rami, the draping man who drapes women beautifully in their bodies. Like, that guy that we're going to talk about is not the real man who agreed to do the show, who agreed to come back to the show. And that's not going to be the guy that we see on the screen in a couple of weeks. So, you know, I agree with you that these are characters. Kevo, when I first started watching Project Runway, we had just started dating. Some boys I was trying to bang were super into it, and they were like, watch it. And I was like, fine. And I immediately became head over heels obsessed with it. Watched the first 3 seasons in 2 days and watched the 4th season live as it happened. And really, it changed my life in so many ways. It gave me focus. It gave me drive. I didn't want to do this, but I knew that I wanted to do something as badly as these people wanted to do this thing. And so Project Runway was a huge part of my life for a decade, where you were just tangentially related to it, not really too invested, but you sure did love the fierce SNL sketch with me.
Yeah.
But then kind of at the start of pandemic, we were trapped in the house, and I was like, I plan on rewatching Project Runway from basically the beginning. Would you like to watch some Project Runway with me? I'd like to show it to Jonah as well. And from the moment you gave it your attention, you gave it everything. And how are you feeling about, this is your fourth live season now, because you did 17, 18, 19, and this is going to be 20. It's going to be your fourth live season. How do you feel going into it with kind of lofty expectations? I mean, these names alone, you've got Rami, you've got Saun, you've got Kevo, Prajay, Brittany, Hester.
And is these names are not tailor picked for me necessarily, all of them. Some are. Saun is just a treat. Hester Sunshine is just a treat. Rami is unbelievable in the context of Christian Siriano being the mentor of this franchise.
This is getting Justin Guarini to be an intern on the Kelly Clarkson show.
Not an intern, but yes, something of a comparable level. Yeah, kind of. It's something like that.
Also, if you could just zoom in on him really quick, Rami is truly a beautiful man. And there's a bigness and a proudness to him. Him losing to that tiny little twink who would go on to redefine the fashion industry.
Yep.
That's a statement.
Who became this pop culture figure, because when you actually watch Project Runway and you watch Christian's season, you really understand, if you were aware of the pop cultural perception of Project Runway at the time, and the SNL sketch that we were just talking about, where Amy Poehler plays Christian Siriano and Bill Hader plays Tim Gunn.
And Casey Wilson is the poor, unfortunate makeover
confused contestant. And the way that they lean into Christian saying fierce all the time, fierce, 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 fierce. It's not actually in the season, but he got such a good response that in the reunion they do a supercut of all the times you said fierce. It had been like 5 times, maybe ever in the season. It was just a casual word he said occasionally, and then they do a supercut of 20 times he ever said it on camera, because people really responded to him. He being the replacement mentor for Tim Gunn absolutely made perfect sense. And so to bring back his runner-up, who was also such a very serious, not too serious, but serious, proud, fierce competitor, not to use his word, ironically, that was actually not intended, but he was a ferocious competitor who took his job very seriously, who I love that his shirt has that thing that almost looks like a draping, because if Christian was fierce and couture, Rami had he won,
draping,
it would have been all about the draping, and he was the draper, and that would have been what the season would have been remembered for. Instead, he also had his own brand and style. So yeah, bringing him in, I don't think that it's going to be like he's gonna be terrible to Christian. It's just fascinating to see. It'll be really interesting to see how it plays out, because you never know when these people are going to be perfectly fine with each other or absolute drama queens, and you expect that from Drag Race. So when you see them all work well together, you're like, yay! But this is the opposite of that, where you're like,
funny
who's going?
It's funny because on All Stars, you kind of the deal is like you got to be chiller, like you got to chill out. And I feel like, I don't know if this is the case on Project Runway, but on other shows that I've seen, it's sort of like, because it is not Drag Race during the regular seasons and people are pretty chill, All Stars becomes the place where it's like things are actually a little heightened because the stakes feel weirdly higher here. And, so I'm excited for that.
Do you know what I think a huge part of that too is the nature of their work being different, where Drag Race is performance based, and so you are out there doing shows and getting bookings, and that's such a more specific and broader range of thing than trying to make it as a fashion designer. And so just being on Drag Race opens up so many doors for you. And it's the same thing for Project Runway, but if those doors don't pan out, they shut.
Yeah.
And so this is now hopefully opening new doors for you, and you want those doors.
And, just to speak about those doors, there's a woman on here, the upper right-hand corner, Kato Mamalu, who is from Project Runway season 5, and to say that Kato was robbed. I'm not coming for the winner, who is famously my least favorite winner in the history of the franchise. I am no fan of Leanne's, and she is my least favorite winner in the history of the entire franchise, ever, bar none. She's a fine designer, and evidently so many people feel the way I felt, that she was chased out of fashion and left fashion because so many people hated her. I don't want anybody to give up their dreams. She just wasn't for me. Kato was the front runner. Kato was the favorite. Kato was expected to win. Kato has gone on to be incredibly successful. She launched a weed-themed line of designs that did great. She is a genius. She did not do a single bad look her entire run on the show. There are so many Katos that are going to be showing this year. Karasan, Victor Luna.
You made that point, and I have like these fun little charts that I made to keep track of the Project Runway cast. And so when you made your point about how many of the contestants this season like that there are, I took the images that I had from that and was able to configure them into a chart to help illustrate. This is where everyone is in their season, and to illustrate how close, and without saying where and who the other contestants are, and even without getting too close to where to because I know I don't want to spoil too much for Teak.
No, you're totally good.
This does illustrate like how far everyone was in their season, who is now a contender this season. It's really wild.
It truly is a battle of giants. There's
this one up here in season 1 that is the one outlier, and everyone else is either late or neck and neck.
And season 1 is so early in a franchise. Like, can you even count that person's lack of success?
Exactly. She deserves another chance.
And something you also need to think about too is that's 2 people from season 1, and then there's this giant gap of 11, 12, 13, 14, no contenders. So you have to wonder who was a potential alternate if they couldn't get people from seasons that they wanted,
I feel like there is definitely a story why Kelly from the deli isn't here.
Well, she already did an All-Stars, but people do more than one. I know that.
I would have liked to have seen Ken. That would have been nice. I know he's done 3 All-Stars, but I want what I want. You know what? I just like that I don't have to see, winners here. I don't need to see Seth Aaron. I'm not seeing One Ball.
Oh yeah, Anthony Ryan.
There are some distinctive names that I wish I was seeing here. Shawn Michael Kelly would be nice to see.
He is always nice to see.
It would have been nice to see Christopher Palou.
Yes, Christopher. That's another. Well, he was
You
10.
know, quite literally the most beloved competitor maybe in the entire show. Anya, I know she won her season, but she's, you know,
But I don't care. I want her.
I want
Give
her.
us more.
Just give us more Anya. She's so perfect.
I've never done an All Stars before, but I feel like, you know.
Actually, she did an All Stars and got her ass kicked, and it was embarrassing because like they're literally like, "Oh, you're Anya," and she's like, "Right, it's not working," and like it was embarrassing.
See, I'm looking at my.
It's the show's fault. The show did something wrong.
Yeah, well, usually. Dom would have been great.
Yeah, there's an Emerson.
Epperson, yeah.
Maybe just to get in a little bit of the older vibe, maybe a Sweet Pea, just somebody who could carry the older demographic. I know a lot of these designers are probably 45 now. It would have been cool to see Arena, maybe the most deserving winner in the history of the franchise, who has never said a word to the franchise ever again. So anyway, I just think this is a who's who. This is such a genius lineup. I'm no big fan of a couple of them. There's a few that I just don't care about, but you know, the names I've said. I'm excited to see Kane. He no longer goes by Kane. I forget what name he now goes by, his actual first name. So the guy in the middle, the top. I'm excited to continue my feud with Brittany. She doesn't know about it, but I'm just sort of like, you're like she always designs the white lady dress. I don't know how else to say it, but I do love her as a person. As a person, she is a marvelous person. I am just not as big a fan of her design work. It's just such a killer cast. And the fact that one of the cast came back after being nearly murdered is by production. It's pretty cool. So, all right. That's about it for... Jonathan Kane. Thank you. You know, he was a little pageant boy when he did the show. He is coming back 12, 13 years later, a man, and I'm very happy for him. I want to say just most unbelievable is Victor Luna. He looked very boyish in his season, and this is the look of a man, and this is the look of a man who knows how to put his fashion together. There's some really
Fabio looking real good too.
Fabio always looked so cool, though. It didn't matter what Fabio fucking wore. Fabio looked so cool and so at ease with himself. Like, I will never look one bit that comfortable.
I think I am perhaps most surprised by this row being all new era picks. That's a lot for what is a 20-season celebration, being from just the last 3 seasons. But I also get that it's probably trying to make a point from a production standpoint as well. And it's easiest to get back fresh cuts.
And they're most recognizable to your audience.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
about Anna.
Anna was the one who got impaled by production and barely survived. So Anna gets whatever Anna wants.
Story of my life.
Yeah, actually, it was a car accident. So anyway, I am more excited about this than any season of reality television in my life. This is the height of everything I've ever wanted. If I can place an outside bet that makes no sense right now, my top 3. Oh, it's so hard. I mean, Kato, Saun, Rami, Hester. I got to do a top 4.
They always pull out a top 4, so why not?
I'd maybe swap out Karasan for Victor because they both have an X factor that I just can't define. Karasan spent 10 years in costumes, but I have this the Victor Luna I remember, the guy who always played it safe, would never wear what this incredibly handsome, confident man is wearing.
Yeah.
So I don't know this man anymore, and I am so excited. Yeah. I've never seen Victor look that confident. Like, I watched this whole season where he placed in the top 4, and he's never looked like this man to me. And so, like, he's winning an award for like that James Mansfield Most Transformed. I can't wait to see what he's bringing. It really.
I was gonna say, hopefully, it really translates in performance and like in on-screen presence, not just in photo presence.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully, Rami does naked yoga every morning.
Yes.
On YouTube separately that you can stream. But all right, any final thoughts on Project Runway?
No, this will be a fun one.
Kevo.
Well, I would be remiss if I let the episode go without us mentioning that I am probably most rooting for Kara Saun because of her work on Disney's Descendants, where she was the costume designer. And like, this slideshow also is just so adorable. I love this.
She's so marvelously talented.
And she looks like Uma here with the teal braids. Oh, I love it. I hope she talks about Descendants. I really do.
I can't believe that this is cut so that you can't see her feet.
Oh my god, that's hilarious. I also think like the varied styles on everyone are so bizarre. Like, she looks like she's ready to go surfing, and she looks like she's ready to go to the opera. So
that's both of their styles from their seasons. That's Noelle. Straight
she looks
up,
like she's ready for Off Kilter. So like, I love it. Everyone looks great. I'm excited.
Me is there.
Yeah, well, what are you gonna do?
All right. Well, that's gonna wrap it up for today.
To be cut.
Yeah, that's making the cut. So, all right, we got a few little house cleaning things to talk about. Next weekend, we've got some cool things we're going to be taking a look at. We're taking a look at more exciting media stuff. So on our upcoming shows board, we have Muppets Mayhem, Fast X, which evidently, you know, there are going to be like 50 more of them. We've got Little Mermaid, Across the Spider-Verse. We're going to be taking a look at Strange New Worlds, Secret Invasion. You can add Drag Race Mexico to that. You can add continuing coverage of Drag Race All-Stars. You can add Lower Decks when that pops.
Oh, yeah, August. You know, this is always just a sample of some of the stuff we're going to be covering coming up. And TK, we're always looking for feedback, and we're looking to hear what you guys want to hear us talk about.
For real. If there's anything you want us to cover, DM us, shoot us a message. We'll cover it.
TK, what are you most excited to cover?
I think it's really, at the end of the day, it's Spider-Verse, but there's a special place in my heart right now for Little Mermaid. I saw that preview waiting for Guardians of the Galaxy, and I have not really been up for the Disney live-action movies. Something about what it is ultimately is that, you know, for little black girls around the world and little girls both of color and not, to see a black Ariel and for that to mean something to a young girl, and you know, for that to, and I shouldn't just say young girls, for any young person, for any old person, for any person, that we have a black Ariel, that it made it all the way to the screen, that it's, you know, Chloe with this amazing voice, and that Javier Bardem is going to be a shirtless fish man all day. There's just so much for me personally to look forward to. So, you know, that one's got a really special place in my heart. But, you know, Baby Mayday, that's got a real special place in my heart.
Oh my god, is she on the poster? I can only dream. Yes, she is. Oh, she's on the poster.
She's right on. She's Papoose style with Peter.
Hey, girl.
What's your number one?
Well, so much of it, really. I really want us to start Muppets Mayhem soon. I'm hearing good things.
Yeah.
I really want to support Muppets projects because I really do so frequently enjoy them, and I think They don't get their fair shake. I am still gutted by the loss of the Muppets office, as I refer to it, from 2016, because that's essentially what it was. It was very funny, and I feel like they just can't find the right way to market these guys. I love how unrelentingly diverse so much of this board is. It's really cool to see how many of these major franchises are being led by people of color. Muppets Mayhem, Fast Furious, Little Mermaid, Sam Jackson over here. I'm intrigued by Secret Invasion. But, you know, yeah, other great stuff. How about you? What are you most excited for?
Easily my favorite Star Trek of all time, Strange New Worlds. That's the boy. I am Captain Pike all day. Hey, couldn't be more excited.
Daddy Pike and Baby Boy Spock.
Couldn't be more excited than to cover all of this with you guys and continuing our coverage of our reality shows, our movie franchises, and more. It's going to be a blast all summer into the fall long, and I couldn't be more excited than to do it with you guys. But if everybody wants to check it out, you got to do it by following, subscribing, liking, clicking, posting, straight West Coasting, retweeting, tweet. You guys remember her? I move over to the left. Right?
Don't.
Oops. Oh my.
Oh my.
That was
right?
very off key, but you know, I tried.
It works, right? You can
Loved
find
it.
us at X is for show, because don't forget, X is for us, X is for you, X is for me, X is for everybody. And you can check us out at X is for show. Hey, Kevo, if you're not at X is for show, though, where can everybody find you?
You can find me over on the socials, theoretically, over at Kevo Really. That's KEVOREALLY. Teak, where can the folks at home find you?
You can find me at those same socials, but you'll be looking for X Nate, X Gray X, and Nico. Where can everybody find you?
You guys can find me all over your socials at Nico Action. That's NICOACTION, where I'm always doing pec bouncing and flexing. That's
Heck
just
yeah.
kind of what I do. Just do but other than that, I'm usually trying to write stuff, and you can check me out over at kidriotcomics.com, as well as in my published work, where I was lucky enough to be chosen by these amazing editors to be part of a book, Young Men in Love, which has won a GLAAD award, a gaming award. What an honor to be a part of this unbelievable cavalcade of talent. And it's such an honor to be able to consider myself part of that. And so until we come back with another European hit, until we return to claim a second crown, and until we come back to see if Rami is going to drape me as beautifully as one of his French girls, keep those lights lit. Keep on streaming, and we're going to see you guys next time. So stay safe.
Bye.